Speaker, after 9 years of this Liberal NDP government, Canada has become the caboose to America's high-flying economic engine. The GDP per capita has become so stark that the average American worker is now making $22,000 more than the Canadian worker. Why? Well, because Americans don't pay a carbon tax. They don't have high fly-raising capital gains taxes. And they don't have soft trade policies. So when will this Prime Minister finally admit that his high taxes, soft trade policies have derailed Canadian prosperity, or is he content in keeping Canadian workers riding in the back in the caboose?
Good question.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives may have an inferiority complex vis-a-vis the United States, but I sure don't. Let me tell you what's better in Canada. Inflation is lower. Interest rates are lower. We live 4 years longer because we have a universal single-payer healthcare system. And you know what? Investors are noticing the Canadian advantage. Here's what David Rosenberg said last week. U.S.-based investors should strongly consider moving from New York to Toronto because returns here are better, too.
The Honourable Member from Bay of Quinte.
Amazing, Mr. Speaker, because the Liberal candidate Mark Carney moved his company to New York. But let me tell you what's actually happening in the Canadian economy. 90,000 jobs have been lost since 2015 in the softwood lumber industry. 90,000 jobs, 40,000 of them in BC alone. The last Prime Minister figured the softwood lumber deal in 79 days. It's been 9 years and 3 U.S. presidents. How many jobs have to be chopped before this Prime Minister figures out that high taxes and a weak, soft spine won't bring jobs back and paychecks to Canadians and across the softwood lumber industry?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from these weak Conservatives when it comes to standing up for the Canadian national interest. And that's because we remember the 232 steel and aluminum interests that the U.S. imposed on us. And when we did that, we retaliated. We had the guts to do that. And you know what the Conservatives said? They urged us to back down. They said that retaliation was dumb. They would sell Canadian interests out again in a minute. We will never do that.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years and 3 American presidents, this Prime Minister has failed to renegotiate the softwood lumber agreement. He failed where the previous Conservative Prime Minister succeeded. And that just 90 days after being elected. After the closing of the sawmill in Maniwaki and in Mauricie, we now learned that another sawmill is about to close its doors in Quebec. Why are the Liberals continuing to abandon forestry workers?
The
Honourable Minister of Exports and International Development, Trade. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I want to thank the honourable member for that question. As he well knows, softwood lumber, the forestry industry, is really important in creating thousands and thousands of jobs across this country. That's right. We've been working very hard with the forestry industry. But what I've also learned from the sector is that they're really looking to expand into new markets. And I'm very pleased that our government, the Trade Commissioner Service, is really helping them to access new markets while at the same time working to continue to try to get a deal with the United States. Thanks so much.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, I'll say it again, 3 American presidents. And 9 years later, this Liberal Prime Minister has still not managed to renegotiate a softwood lumber agreement. That's pure incompetence and a clear lack of leadership. 3 sawmills have closed their doors in just a few months. The most recent in Saint-Ludger-de-Millau. It's a village of 600 people. 100 of those people are about to lose their jobs. When will there be elections so that our leader can succeed where this Prime Minister has lamentably failed?
The Honourable Minister for International Trade.
What I would say to those wonderful workers and the sector that they belong to, they contribute tremendously not only to the economy of Quebec, but certainly to the economy of Canada. But I do have a question for the member opposite, and that is for his leader. And why is the leader not going to get his security clearance so that he can protect Canadians?
That's right.